another shot at him. Why are you doing that kind of stuff? That's exactly right. We refuse to give PG-13 another shot. Yeah, what great champion. Hey, you shut up and hold the microphone. These people in Nashville, Tennessee, they know what the Dogs are about, and they know what Springfield, Tennessee are about, and they know what the Wild-Eyed Southern Boys are about being the best. And we're not defending these titles against a couple of jabronis like PG-13, because they're like the rest of these Nashville nitwits. They ain't got a clue. We're on to bigger and better things, because let me repeat, Smoky Mountain Wrestling is what's hot, and the USWA is not.
Well, let me remind you of this, Tracy, is that PG-13 has held those titles for many, many times here in the USWA.
Well, hey, the buck stops here, because let me tell you this, man, those guys couldn't whip my grandmother, especially you, JC Ice. You're a $170, 170 pounds soaking wet. So you can forget about ever getting a title shot. We got 30 days to defend these belts.
Yeah, well, what great champions you are. Just sit around home there, hold on to the belt.
Now look what you're looking at right here. The Thugs. T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, because a thug can't spell.
Hey, this is Jimmy Street, host of the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. Hear the life and times of professional wrestler Wolfie D. From his time in the territories with PG-13 to his time in WWE, ECW, WCW, TNA, and more. Nothing is off limits and nothing will be held back. Thanks again for tuning in. Here he is, Wolfie D.
Welcome once again to a very special episode of Live and in Color with Wolfie D and my man Jimmy across the street. Today, like I said, it's a special one, a tribute to everyone's friend, it seems like, but my good buddy Tracy Smothers. I'm going to enjoy this, man.
Yeah. This one is exciting. Since you brought the idea up, man, I've been excited about putting this one together for sure. These are fun, man.
Yeah, man. It's going to be cool, man. We've got I think you told me like an hour's worth of videos and messages sent in by folks, man, mostly wrestlers. And those of you that didn't get yours in, Jimmy.
Shame on you.
Yeah. I put it on a T for you there, buddy. I thought you were going to remain silent for a second. But yeah, man, we got lots of, this may be one, guys. I want you to listen to our show however you listen to it, wherever you're comfortable, but this may be one that you want to go over to YouTube and check out, because there is a lot of video on this. So keep that in mind.
And hit subscribe while you're there, by God.
Yeah, no kidding. The hardest thing in the world to do is to get the subscription for YouTube for us. But anyway, man, Tracy was just something else, man. Just a character, a great wrestler. You know, a lot of people are going to say, I already know, he's a man's man, and he can fight anybody, and he's great. He taught me this and taught me that. But Tracy was a character, man. Tracy was funny, and sometimes he wasn't even trying to be funny, man.
Right.
Right. The old, all his sayings going down the road. I mean, I rode many miles with him. I don't think a lot of people understand how much I did ride with Tracy. Man, it's just the whole, you drive by going down the interstate, and you look up on the hill there. There's a lot of this in Tennessee. You see a big hill up there, and a big mansion or something, a real nice house. And Tracy will say, "Brother don't care." You're like, what? Brother don't care. He don't care if we draw tonight. He don't give a shit. or then he'll follow it up with, I bet he ain't never took a backdrop. Yeah. No, Tracy probably has not taken a backdrop. Yeah. or you see the big, and I never understood this one really, but you see the field, there'd be a bunch of cows and cattle and shit, and he'd be like, "Hey, Wolfie, there's your family. There's your family." What? I don't even understand what that means.
My family are a bunch of cows.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't even get it, Tracy, but whatever.
My favorite one I remember him saying was the one where he would look out and it was a small crowd, and he was like, "Well, if they riot,
yeah, we got them whooped."
Yeah, we got them whooped. Yeah. So, oh man. That was so funny.
Legendary too is Tracy's driving skills. You know, he was always all over the road, man, because he'd be turning around in the back seat and talking to whoever's back there and not keep his eye on the road. He'd be all over the place, man, or going off about something. The best one that he would go off about Bruce Pritchard. That was his big one that he would go off on, man. Yeah, and he'd start smacking that damn steering wheel, hitting the steering wheel. Man, that damn Bruce Pritchard, I seen him and he seen me. I could tell by looking in his eye. He knew, and I knew he knew, and he knew I knew. And he knew, and I knew. It's like, what? Who knew what? Who knew what, Tracy? Yeah, a couple of his driving stories, though, and he would get, like I said, he would get so mad, man. And another saying, they're just coming to me. It was, man, people mistake kindness for weakness, man. They mistake kindness for weakness, and he's referring to somebody who he thought was trying to get over on him,
Yeah,
and he'd get hot about that, and then go on a roll about that. He'd be like, Tracy, or he'd end it with, "Don't leave me hanging." He put his hand up. He'd start kind of laughing at himself getting on the roll. He realized that I'm going the fuck off here. Don't leave me hanging. Don't leave me hanging. And if you wouldn't give it to him, he'd take it. Just smack you on the arm or whatever. And I remember a couple of times, hell, we got pulled over once, and the cop comes up and he's like, "Man, you've been drinking tonight? You're all over the road." And Tracy's like, "No, man, I'm just not a good driver, man."
I just love that one.
and he let him go, man. But there was another time. It was me and Jamie, Brickhouse, me and Tracy, and me and Jamie went in, and we were in the store, I think, playing a video game or something, and they had already come in and got what they wanted, right? And it's late. The show was over. It was late. And small town, and I got on my black trench coat. I mean, just imagine what that crew looks like that I just mentioned, And so I can't remember if Tracy sent Brickhouse in, like, tell them to hurry the fuck up, And so, because they're out there waiting, and we're in there playing video games, and we come back out kind of, in a hurry, not like running, but kind of jogging and getting in the car real quick. Well, about that time, a cop pulls up, and he thinks, he sees that crew and us running to get in the car. We got pulled over that time, man, but just for looking like we look. So he's like, man, y'all playing video games, almost got thrown in jail.
Oh man.
Okay. Me and Jamie we had a couple times where we go, we all lived in Nashville, and Tracy'd like to play golf, especially he'd like to go to the driving range with us because he knew we'd just be hitting them all over the place. He'd say, "Look at Dundee coming out of his shoes trying to keep up with Wolfie," like, because I could hit him further, I couldn't hit him straight, but Dundee coming out of his shoes. So I got so many lines from him that they just keep coming to me, man. I miss him, man. I miss him.
You know what? Every time I hear stories about him, I think that there needs to be a Tracy Smothers biopic movie, man.
Yeah, for real.
Like that would be a
Bears.
I know. I mean, dude.
There's just so many lines in my head that I'd have to tell all these stories. Bucky, kick that dog. Bucky, kick that dog. That don't make no sense to you, but it's just something that sticks in my head. Tracy telling Bucky, kick that dog. Somebody I grew up with in Springfield, Bucky kicked some dog one time, and he always would say that. Bucky, kick that dog.
Yeah.
And the world is safe if Wolfie and Jamie are inside playing video games. The world is safe because he knew we wasn't out getting in trouble, getting fucked up or nothing. The world is safe. Man, this is, like I said, we've got an hour's worth of stuff for y'all to enjoy. I hope y'all do enjoy this as much as I've enjoyed kind of putting it together. And I gotta say, Jimmy's really put it together. I kind of reached out to most of the people, and we got this all put together nicely. And I really hope y'all enjoy it. I don't know what else more to say, man. I could sit here and go on all day, and I know y'all want to listen to me the whole time. Jim, you got anything to add before we start listening to everybody?
Man, I've told this story a million times, but just, the idea that Tracy came to me and wanted me to manage him one night, and unfortunately I didn't get to do it, and that's one of my biggest regrets, but just that he came directly to me and just looked at me in the eyes, and I'm sure you can hear him saying this, "Brother, I need you. I need you, brother. Brother, I need you." And man, it didn't work out. And I feel so bad, like I'd let him down, even though he probably didn't even think another thing about it. You know what I mean? But oh man, just
that reminds me of another one, man.
Please.
So It was a show in Knoxville for Terry Landell, so that probably tells you that it didn't draw real well. It was an outdoor show, and my girlfriend at the time was with me, and she didn't have none. She never wrestled. She never managed. She never did nothing. And Tracy and me were working each other, and he wanted her to come out of the crowd and throw a chain to me, and boom, I forget if it was me going over and going or whatever, but she's like, I don't feel I've never done this. I don't know how to do it. He's like, right. Come on. He's like, just begging her, please, come on. You can do it. It's simple. Just get up by your chair and just toss it over the top rope to him from right there. It's easy. You got it. You got this. And lo and behold, it comes time, and she throws it over my head, and it hits I try to grab it, but it goes over my head, hits the mat, and slides out to the floor, to the gravel. And so just real quick, I slid out, grabbed it back in, boom, whatever the finish was. I can't remember if I guess I hit him. But then we get back to the back, and he starts browbeating her like she's been in the business for 20 years.
You were trained better than that.
God, you can't throw a chain on. I mean, goddamn. I was like, Tracy, if she told you she didn't want to do it, man.
Yeah, don't you remember that part of talking her into it?
Yeah. Now you gonna get hot because she told you she couldn't do it.
And she chucked it.
That was funny.
Oh man, yeah. Like I just think of him, as this I don't know, like this patron saint of pro wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so many of the people have so many stories, from the biggest names in the business to the guys that just were fans, and I think you'll hear all of that today on this episode. I mean, that was the goal. And you actually put that out there. You were like, look, we don't want just the boys, fans of Tracy, listeners, whatever. You bring it in. And, I think we've got the author of his autobiography,
Right.
I think we've got, we've got so many of the boys that were on the outlaw level, and so many of the boys that worked with him, in the big times. And so one of them is basically a brother to him, I mean, there's just so many guys we've got today. And, I'm just so happy that you thought of this, and it was a great idea. We did this with Josephus a while back, had his brother on, but we didn't get to do it this way. And I like doing it this way because it involves everybody,
Right. Yeah. And I appreciate ahead of time here, just going to say, everybody that participated in this, I appreciate you. Once again, I do. Really do.
Yeah. And this was a labor of love for sure. This was a labor of love. Yeah.
So I guess we will get on with the show, and we'll be right back, and we'll start listening to what everybody has to say about the wild-eyed Southern boy, Tracy Smothers.
Hey, folks, to get your official Live It in Color with Wolfie D merchandise, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/live Wolfie D. Check it out.
If you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D on Apple Podcast and like what you're hearing, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating. And while you're at it, write a review. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you'd like to hear in the future. It's very important to us and always appreciated. Thanks again.
All right, we're back, and it's time to get on with the show. And first up is an ECW guy that was part of the FBI with Tracy. I'm talking about Lil Guido.
Hello, everyone. This is Lil Guido, Nunzio, as some of you may know. First, I would like to thank Wolfie D for asking me to come on and say a few words about Tracy Smothers, who, as we all know, had a big part in my wrestling career back in ECW. Tracy was the type of guy that would help anyone who wanted to learn. And back in 1997, when he came into ECW, Paul Heyman gave him the position right away to make some extra money and train all the new guys, and including myself back then. I was still very green, not used to knowing how to work cameras and stuff like that. And by Paulie putting me with Tracy, did wonders for my career. Him, Tommy, and many others. But Tracy really did take me under his wing and wanted our group to do well. And like I said, besides me, Tracy Smothers helped many others. Unfortunately, he's gone way, way too soon. And he's definitely missed in the world of professional wrestling. There's so many stories I could tell. Some I can't tell, some I could tell. But at the end of the day, Tracy was a great, great person, and is definitely missed. And we love you, Tracy.
All right. And the next one we've got is definitely somebody that has meant a lot to Tracy, and Tracy means a lot to him, in the one and only Chris Michaels.
Real quick, in light of the videos for Tracy Smothers going on, I just want to say, in the last week, I got presented with an award in honor and memory of Tracy, and I'm real blessed and privileged and lucky to have been presented this award, and of all the accolades and things that I've acquired over my wrestling career, this stands at the top of them, and I'm very blessed to have it and been presented this award in honor of Tracy Smothers. But real quick story about me and Tracy. My favorite one is when we were on the road full time back from 2000 to 02. We were trying to save money on the road, but keep our protein intake really high, just like the big boys and all that. We would hit these Ryan's buffets, and we would eat our meal, and then we'd take an empty plate and go back up and refill it with as much chicken breast or grilled chicken we could find on it, and we would empty out our jackets and our fanny packs, and we would sneak these chicken breasts and chicken into our jackets and fanny packs, and then we would sneak out with all of them. We'd get outside, and Tracy said, how many did you get, Chris? And I go, well, I got 6. He goes, well, I got 8 of them. And so we'd try to pile all this chicken in to keep ourselves fed and without having to buy a meal every 2-3 hours to get our protein intake. And then after that, Tracy said, Chris, you know what we should do? He said we should get black hats, black sunglasses, and black trench coats and start holding up all these Ryan's buffets and call ourselves the Chicken Bandits. Go in and say, well, we don't want your money, we just want your chicken. But that's one of my favorite memories of Tracy. And I just want to say I miss him dearly, and if not for him, I wouldn't have made it in professional wrestling, and I definitely wouldn't have made the accomplishments I made today. I love you, Tracy, and I miss you, man.
Rolling on, we've got Ben Jordan and his son, Russell Jordan.
Tracy Smothers is a man that I looked up to, that I loved, I respected, and now I miss. And just to tell you what kind of guy Tracy was, I've known him for all these years and hadn't seen him in a while. And my son went to wrestling and met Tracy in the dressing room, and the big compliment was when my son come home and told me the story of meeting Tracy Smothers. And after all these years, Tracy remembered his story about what happened to me several years ago, and it just amazed me that he even remembered it and wanted to tell it. So the best one to tell this story is my son Russell.
Yeah, so I don't remember exactly where this was, but I was going to a show, and Tracy was going to be there, and so I went in the back and was introduced to him as Ben's son, and immediately his eyes lit up, and he was just so excited, and he started just gathering around people. He was like, hey, this guy's dad got hit by a truck and came back, started wrestling again, and he was just so excited, just telling the story of like how you were wrestling and then were working at your day job and got hit by a truck, and he was just telling people like how, like, he's like, that's how tough he was. He's like, he came back. And then later on that same night, Tracy was selling the shirts he had made that were modeled after the Metallica Kill 'Em All album. And it said, Tracy Smothers, Everybody Dies. And me being a metalhead, at the end of the night, I asked him if I could get one of his shirts, and he was like, just take this one. And he took the shirt off that he wore in his match that night and just handed it to me. And it was just one of the nicest people I've ever met, and to have met him was just an honor.
This is the kind of guy Tracy was. We love and miss Tracy.
All right, next up, we've got the always entertaining Buzzed Up.
You know, I guess one of the things that Tracy told me that impacted me a lot was leave it better than you found it. You know, and throughout the years, I tried to do that with any promotion that I've went to, or, you know, just the wrestling business as a whole. You know, I've always tried to leave it better than when I got there. You know, and to me, that's, if guys had that mentality, you know, then I think the business would thrive even more than it is. So that was an impactful point, you know, from Tracy that stuck with me through the years, along with some other things. And so, you know, Tracy, I don't think we could say enough nice things about Tracy to really give him justice of the kind of person he was, you know. And the other thing that I appreciate, you know, coming from Tracy was his friendship. You know, when a guy like Tracy, you know, stops mid-conversation because he sees you walk in to a locker room and comes up and gives you a hug and, you know, tells you, you know, good to see you, Buzz, you know, we're good to see you, you know, whoever, you know, I mean, I'm not the only one he did that with, I know, but, you know, those are the moments that I feel the business misses and will miss, is guys like that, you know, guys that have been to the top, you know, and are just wanting to help lead the business that they loved and that they, you know, that they sacrificed for, you know, a lot of their lives for. They just try to leave it, you know, better than what it was. And, you know, that's, if I could tell any young guy anything, you know, take Tracy's advice, is leave this business better than when you found it. Love you, Tracy.
This next one should be very entertaining. Danny Deals and Sean. That's another Tracy. Sean Schultz.
So Wolfie D, yeah, Tracy Smothers, right, who's the best ever. And all of us ripped all of his shit up.
Yes.
All the time.
All the stuff that I did that worked was because of Tracy. Yes.
Chris.
It was always because of Tracy. Tracy, for me, I guess what sticks out the most has to be the fact that when we first met, I'd already trained the basics, and I asked him to watch my match. And just for the simple fact that I asked him to watch my match, he watched my match.
Yeah. You were such a good kid back then, too. I don't know what happened to him. He told me he was afraid to eat a candy bar around you. Yeah.
But he watched my match. Not only did he critique me, I guess he saw the passion for how bad I wanted this. And then, boom, I was on the road immediately. And Tracy legitimately paid for everywhere we stayed. He paid for the gas. He just took care of me like I was family. And what is just the most mind-blowing thing to me is that there is about 500 other people in this business that have the exact same story. And that is just a true testament for the person that Tracy was. For me, I will always have a special place in my heart. Pops, Tracy Smothers, the best.
Me too. You said it all. Hey, look at brother right there. See him? He doesn't care. He doesn't care. We got to make Evansville in front of 45 people.
And the next one is Damian Wayne.
I was asked to give a few words about the one and only thug himself, Tracy Smothers. And you see, very early in my career, I wrestled Tracy Smothers back in Virginia, somewhere up in Northern Virginia for NWA Virginia at the time. And we wrestled at a ball field and had a really good, decent little match. Of course, I wasn't ready. I don't think so, but we had a decent little match. But fast forward 7 years later, I never seen Tracy again after that. And then 7 years later, I saw him at a show, and he like recalled that match almost move for move, and it just like almost blew me away that he actually remembered that. And then fast forward again to when I moved to Tennessee and got to be around Tracy quite a bit, and you can do nothing but fall in love with this man. It doesn't matter if he's calling you up to bitch you out and cuss you out, or he's calling you up just to say I love you. The things he did for me by watching my matches and pulling me to the side and explaining things to me, this and why and whatnot, is priceless. And not having him around really truly sucks. A lot of young guys could use Tracy Smothers these days, but one of my most biggest mark-out moments for Tracy, or I got two of them I can say real quick, is he saw me work later on, when I moved here to Tennessee, and he's like, you're Terry Funk. You're Damian Wayne Funk. And that's what he literally called me on any TV thing we did or whatnot together, camera-wise, video promo. That's Damian Wayne Funk. So that right there is a total honor. And then the other one was cruising with the also late one and only Francisco Ciazzo. And Tracy calls Frankie up, and Frankie's got him on Bluetooth over the car radio, and mentions that, I'm riding here, I got Damian Wayne in the back, and Tracy pops up and goes, man, I love that Damian Wayne. I was watching him when I was growing up. So major pop on that. But Tracy, love you, miss you, and boy, I wish I could have you here beside critiquing everything I do. But love you, Tracy. Miss you, brother.
Like Mama says, the next one up, Downtown Bruno.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Downtown Bruno from Walls, Mississippi. I want to talk to you about a guy that was really a good friend of mine, Tracy Smothers, the wild-out Southern boy, Tracy Smothers, Springfield, Tennessee. A lot of people don't know this. My very, very first match ever on Channel 5 when I came to Memphis Wrestling was managing Boy Tony, who was Tony Falk, against Tracy Smothers. And at the end of the match, when Jarrett Calhoun was knocked over during an airplane spin and temporarily out of it, I ran in the ring, stomped Tracy in the head. Boy Tony rolled over on top of him. Calhoun revived, made the 3 count, 1, 2, 3. Tracy didn't stay down very long. You can look at that on YouTube. He jumped up pretty quick. I don't think he wanted to lay there that long for a little guy like me that was just starting out in Memphis, but come to find out I would become somebody that made a life here. But we got along real well. We worked in Memphis together. We worked in the Alabama territory, Continental together. We actually worked in WWE some when he was known as Freddie Joe Floyd. And a lot of people might not know this, but Freddie Joe Floyd was a rib on the Briscoe brothers, because Jerry Briscoe's real name is Floyd Briscoe, and Jack Briscoe's real name was Freddie Joe Briscoe, so they called him Freddie Joe Floyd. I think it was a Bruce Pritchard joke, but that's where that name came from. So God bless Tracy Smothers. He was a great guy. We lost him way too soon, and I hope he's at peace. God bless.
All right, the next one we've got is Draven Lee.
By the request of Wolfie D, who is in the process of putting together a tribute show for Tracy Smothers, I'm going to share with all of you one of my stories about Tracy. I have a few, but this is the one that I hold dearest to me. I was booked on a show in Woodbury, Tennessee. I believe a guy named Perry Hartman was putting it together. He's a Tennessee guy. He does some managing, promoting, and stuff. Not as much now. But I think some of the Tennessee All-Pro guys were on it. Some of the SWF Tullahoma guys were on it. And I got to have a match with Tracy that night, which that's not the significant part of the story. As many of you probably know, Tracy would always watch the entire event. through the curtain, from a monitor, or from his merchandise table, wherever. Unless he was busy talking about something and that he had to do. And this is while Tracy was battling cancer. He had lost weight. He was having a lot of trouble getting around. One of the referees was actually helping him get up and move around and such. And yet, Tracy watched every match and spoke to everybody involved when they came to the back. And at one point, somebody said to him, hey, Tracy, you've done this a long time. You don't have to watch these matches. You don't have to move around the locker room like this. And all Tracy had to say was, yes, I do. If I can make just one of these guys better tonight, then it was worth my trip, and I've done something. Tracy was truly selfless in a business that involves a lot of very selfish people. Not everybody. Just a lot of them. And my video glitched there. I'm back now, though. I honestly feel like we never deserved Tracy. He was too good for all of us. But somehow we had him for many years. And I miss him every day. I hope that there are many more people like him left, but unfortunately, there probably aren't. We all love you, Tracy. We miss you. Rest in peace.
A lot of people know this guy as the WWE's Eugene, but I know him as Nick Dinsmore.
Hello, everybody. You know me. My name is Eugene Nick Dinsmore. My good friend Wolfie D has asked me to say a few words about Tracy Smothers, the wild-eyed Southern boy, Tracy Smothers. I remember first seeing Tracy Smothers on WCW and his tag team, the Wild-Eyed Southern Boys. First time I met Tracy Smothers, I just began training to wrestle with Danny Davis, Nightmare Danny Davis at Ohio Valley Wrestling, and I was a security guard. And Tracy would come do some of the shows. Super nice guy. When I wrestled in Memphis for the Power Pro, I remember Tracy was there, and I think he was in a coaching capacity with WWE at the time. Always a nice guy. Always great to have in the locker room. But one of the things that I really remember about Tracy Smothers was wherever you would go, everybody had a good story about Tracy. Everybody loved having Tracy in the locker room. I remember going overseas, and guys were so excited to tell the story of the time Tracy told them the story of the time Tracy wrestled the Bear. Tracy Smothers is an awesome guy. Definitely missed. He was a blessing in the locker room, and everybody definitely loved him. Thank you, Wolfie, for putting this together.
Oh, man, you got to love this guy, my buddy, Jeremiah Plunkett.
Hi, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Jeremiah Plunkett, and I wanted to share a few words about Tracy Smothers. And I've been trying to think about something original to say, but I feel like anything I say will be echoed by anybody that decides to share their words as well, because Tracy, to everybody he came across, was probably the most genuine, helpful, giving veteran to ever share a locker room. So many people in this industry can trace lineage back to Tracy Smothers and somehow that he helped them in the past. I know Tracy helped me tremendously. But he always really cared. And that's where I think Tracy and so many others differed. Tracy cared and wanted you to get better, and I think it made him feel good to see you get better from things that he taught you. Tracy was always good to call and just to check in, you know what I mean? He would do a favor for anybody. And I always tried to repay that to Tracy. I know there were many seminars that Tracy hosted that he just let me come along when I wasn't in the financial position, you know what I mean, to financial position to take that seminar when I was really early on. I know Tracy always, would try to put me in touch with promoters that he thought would help me. Tracy would always, anytime we could, he would always get us involved in a match together where it's, whether it's me managing him or we trying to wrestle each other. And you could learn from Tracy so easily. And he always had knowledge to give. And I guess the one thing that may stand out, I don't know if it would, that I could say that Tracy gave me or taught me was I remember one night he told me to be a good human. No, I thought that was kind of weird and I appreciate it. But I think now I really see what Tracy was saying. Professional wrestling, I don't know, it can change people, right? And it's kind of at times a cutthroat industry. But what Tracy was saying, and he really emphasized, was that no matter what goes on in the industry, no matter what trials and tribulations or whatnot that you go through, still be a good person. And I've seen throughout the years that other people kind of fell in that trap, and heck, I've probably fallen in that trap myself. But I always try to remember, be a good human. And I think beyond anything in wrestling Tracy may have taught me, I think that's a lesson that I'll take for the rest of my life, even once my bumping days are done, once I'm no longer having anything associated with professional wrestling. I'll always try to remember, be a good human. Thank you for everything, Tracy. I miss you so much. Professional wrestling misses you. And I feel bad about the guys breaking in now that you're gone, because they will never have that Tracy Smothers moment. They'll never have them randomly calling them up just to see how they're doing, just to see what they're doing. I don't have a drink, but here's to you, Tracy. You deserve each and every compliment and memory that you're going to get. Thanks to giving back my pro wrestling. Thanks to the Live with Wolfie D podcast for doing this. Tracy deserves it and so much more. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, and for this next one, my friend and yours, the Podfather himself, Gene Jackson.
Hey, Gene Jackson here from the Retro Wrestling Review podcast, and just want to say, first of all, kudos to Wolfie and Jimmy for doing this podcast dedicated to Tracy Smothers. And, Tracy Smothers is just, you hear the term wrestler's wrestler. Tracy Smothers was definitely that. He was definitely a wrestler's wrestler. And to me, he represented, everything good about pro wrestlers and pro wrestling in general. And, I can't claim to know Tracy that well. I had him on my podcast a couple of times. I did several shows with him over the years, but my favorite memory of getting to work with Tracy is, we did there was a death match tournament up in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, of all places up there. And, I got to do commentary for the whole tournament with Tracy that night. So that was a lot of fun. Just the commentary portion of it, just getting to hear him call this wild and crazy death match tournament. But my favorite part of it was, if you're familiar with these things, there's a lot of downtime in between matches because you got to set up all these contraptions and all this crap that they're using in these death matches. And then after the match, they got to clean everything up from the one gimmick match, and then they got to get everything set up for the other gimmick match. So, the show in and of itself was like 3 or 4 hours long. And then in between matches, you have these 10 to 15 minutes at least between matches where we're just sitting there waiting for them to tear down and get everything set back up. So I got to spend, the whole evening in between matches picking Tracy's brain, hearing stories about, death matches he did over in Japan. And because, he was a part of some of those original death matches over there that kind of kicked all that off. So just getting to hear, his stories of, stuff like that, getting to ask him questions I'd always wanted to ask about, the Continental days, Smoky Mountain, Memphis, and just, seeing his face light up as he told these stories, I wouldn't take nothing for it. It was one of my favorite nights ever in the business, and just such a good guy, man. Just like I say, he is a wrestler's wrestler, and to me, he was everything that was good about pro wrestling. He was old school, and there'll never be another one like him.
Let's hear a few words from the legendary Memphis referee, Jerry Calhoun.
This is Jerry Calhoun. I have so many fond memories of Tracy. We would talk a lot about wrestling, especially when he got started and was trained by Tojo Yamamoto. And let me tell you something, if you were trained by Tojo Yamamoto, you were going to make it in the business because he would beat the heck out of you before you even started. Tracy was always so amiable and was willing to learn as much as wrestling as possible to tone his skills. Tracy was a true professional inside and outside the ring. Also, I would say he's like Bobby Eaton. Nobody said a bad word about either one of them. They're such nice guys. Anyway, rest in peace, Tracy.
Oh, man, you got to love this guy. Friends with Tracy in Japan, friends with us here, the one and only Outlaw Joel Deaton.
Hello, everybody out there. I heard old Wolfie D was putting together a tribute to Tracy Smothers. And I'd just like to say, I knew Tracy for well over 30 years. And Tracy was a consummate professional and a man's man. I had the privilege of tagging team wrestling with Tracy as my partner many times over here in the States and in Japan, where we used to call it the war zone over there. And I just want to say, man, Tracy, I love you, I miss you, and I think about you every day. You did so many things for so many people in the wrestling business. And you should be in every Hall of Fame there is, my friend. And I have nothing but love and respect for you. And I want to thank Wolfie D for putting together this tribute for you, because if anybody deserves it, you do. And you entertain thousands and millions of fans for years on end. And you gave it 100% every time you stepped in that ring. And Tracy Smothers was a tough SOB. And I want to tell you something else. I just can't say enough about Tracy. I miss him. He was left us too soon. And I think about you every day, buddy. I love you. And I know you're looking down over all of us. And it was an honor to know and love you, my friend. And fight with you in that ring. You entertained, like I said, thousands if not millions. And I know that everybody that knows you, that really knows you, respects you and loves you. And you were a man's man, and I have nothing but respect for you. And God bless you, Tracy. I love you. And thank you, Wolfie D, for putting this together for you. Y'all take care out there now.
Coming up next, man, this guy, he does it all. Bodybuilder, wrestler, and star of the Stars Channel show Heels, my buddy Luke Hawks.
What's up, Wolfie? It's your boy Luke Hawks here, and I had to come on and show some love to my boy Tracy Smothers since you're talking about him, and I appreciate that. Man, I've known Tracy. I met him originally when I was a kid, helping out with ECW, but we became friends in XPW when we worked there together in my young days. And then as I got older, I just, multiple shows throughout the years with him. One show in particular, one of my favorite stories though, was I was working for ICP in Evansville, Indiana, a Juggalo Championship wrestling show. And I'd never been there before. I didn't know the fans chunk all that shit at people and it was all crazy and stuff. So when Tracy came out, he was the heel that he is. And he was doing his thing, getting his heat. He takes his jacket off. He puts it on the corner of the ring, and the barricades were kind of close to the ring, like where the fans could reach over and physically touch the ring. So a fan reaches over and grabs Tracy's jacket, Tracy reaches back, grabs it. They get in a tug of war. Next thing you know, fists are flying. Tracy jumps over the rail and just starts nailing this dude. Pop, pop, pop. I thought it was so awesome because Tracy was so badass, man. But Tracy always called me his favorite promoter because I always gave him more money than he asked for when he came in because I thought he deserved it. But man, Tracy, we love you. We miss you. We appreciate you. Thanks, Wolfie, for giving us some love. Hawks out.
So this next one, unfortunately, I'm going to have to read because the person who wrote it wasn't able to before they passed away. I'm speaking of our friend, the late, great Hot Rod Biggs. Rod wrote this when we were talking about doing a tribute to Tracy, and he commented on the post with this. And so I'm going to read it. I told him to record it, but unfortunately, 3 days after he posted this, he passed away. So this one is for you, Hot Rod. I'm certain it's not unique to me, but my general favorite Tracy story would be riding up the roads and passing a UPS facility or something similar. I'm watching him point and say, those guys are in hell working for 15 cents an hour, sweating their balls off, breaking their back. That's just not work. That would usually be followed by Tracy turning up the radio volume, striking his lighter, and swaying to the music. And then the boys missed most of the concert. We got to work on the same nights they work, so I just catch it all here as Tracy sways to the Eagles, Take It to the Limit, or Bob Seger's Against the Wind, or Trying to Live My Life Without You, as he continues to enjoy the gimmicks of the road. Man, Rod, he had such a way with words, you know. He was, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rod. Thank you, Rod.
Yeah. All right. So I also have one to read from Bull Payne, and Bull just was afraid. He loved Tracy so much he was afraid he was going to get choked up to make a video or an audio. So he just asked me to read it for him. So I'm going to do that right before we go to break, if that's all right.
Sounds good.
One time, me and Tracy were working somewhere in Tennessee, a sold-out show, great house. We never had to talk about our matches. We just called it in the ring. Hell, I probably legit had 100 matches with Tracy. Well, anyways, we were on semi-main. Crowd was really good. Lots of good reactions from the people. I'm getting ready to go to the ring, standing by the curtain. And, of course, Tracy is shadow boxing in the corner, puffing and sweating as he is warming up. That always made me nervous for some reason, but I didn't care. I knew we would have a good match because we always did. Anyways, we got to come to the ring, and Tracy comes out, the people pop. I'm the heel, which I preferred, never liked being a face. I just didn't see it in my character. Well, we started off nice and stiff, good solid lockup, etc. But Tracy had this weird, crazy look in his eyes. I didn't think much of it, but usually working with Tracy was a little snug in the beginning, then he would lighten up as we go. Well, for some reason, today he wasn't lightening up at all. I was wondering, what the fuck? He is kicking my ass. So finally, I had enough, and I cut him off, snapped him over into a chin lock, and I said, Tracy, are we fighting or are we working? Because I need to know. I need to know so I can protect myself and fight back because you're kicking my ass right now. He then started laughing, and with that southern drawl, he said, oh, man, I love you, Bull. But I took some ephedrine, and I had a couple of cups of coffee, so I'm amped up, brother. All I could do was just chuckle to myself and realize this was going to be a slobber knocker and just deal with it. You couldn't get mad at Tracy. He was just such a great guy. So we finished the match, and of course, if you ever worked with Tracy, those back fists of his were always solid. That's a damn truth. All I could do was just laugh as he tatered me over and over. But back in the back, he was always quick to hug you and thank you for a good, solid match. Then he said to me, Bull, I always like working with you, brother, because we can always make the people believe what you and me are doing and do our thing. How can you get mad about that? Love that guy. And then he's got another quick one right here that's kind of funny, that they were at a Juggalo show for the clowns. And I guess, at those shows, shit can get out of hand pretty quick. And they were on the same team, apparently. And during the melee and people throwing shit, Mickey, I can't tell in this whether she was Mickey Knuckles was on, I think their partner too, and somebody hit her in the head with a full can of Mountain Dew, knocked her off the apron. He said, Tracy goes, "Bull, Mickey's dead. Mickey's dead." And they ran over there and picked her up. I guess she was all right. But that's kind of funny too.
Oh man, I know that hurts.
Oh God.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break.
Be right back after these messages.
Let's take a quick time out and get a word from one of my dope-ass sponsors, and we'll be right back with more Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Hey folks, this is Wolfie D here, and if you are looking to buy or sell a home in Tennessee or Southern Kentucky, you're going to want to call my buddy, the rock star realtor, Benji Bowie. And you say, Wolfie, how do I get in touch with this rock star? Well, you can call him directly at 615-390-8216. You can go to his website, bowiehomes.com. That's B-U-I-E homes.com. Or you can email him at benbowie34@gmail.com. When you need a home, you need the Rockstar Realtor.
Benji is a member of Exit Realty's Garden Gate team in Gallatin, Tennessee.
Now we're going to hear from the guy that wrote Tracy's autobiography. His name is John Cosper. Let's take a listen.
So I got to know Tracy Smothers last couple years of his life. Tim Dennison introduced us one day at IHOP, and he had reached out to me and said, would you be interested in writing Tracy Smothers' autobiography? I go, oh, yeah, absolutely I would. I never got to see Tracy work in person in his prime. I got to see him work a lot for Destination One Wrestling in New Albany. Tracy would come out, he'd be out there for about 25 minutes. He'd spend the majority of that time on the microphone or having dance contests or just chewing it up with the fans. He might wrestle for like 2 or 3 minutes at the most in a match, but you were not you were entertained the entire time. And one thing I noticed about him too at that time was anytime there was a show going on, and I caught this one day as a heel was going through the curtain real fast, Tracy would sit right there behind the curtain. He would watch every single match through the curtain, and any kid who wanted feedback, any wrestler who wanted feedback at all, Tracy would give it to them. I later found out. Larry D tells me they call it the Tracy position now, and that's where Larry sits at all of his shows too, just watching him and just watching all of his kids and seeing how they do. So we started working on his book. It was fall of 2019, and that was when he was undergoing chemotherapy. And to be honest, most of his book was written while he was hooked up doing chemotherapy. And I'm talking about this, the two of us being on the phone for an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. He'd be messing with the nurses. He'd be asking for more peanut butter. He'd be asking for more ice cream, and he'd be telling stories. He'd go year by year, every week, until we got to the point where he got the really bad concussion around 93. And then all of a sudden we were covering 3 or 4 years in a row. So yeah, you tell me that concussions don't have an effect on a guy. But Tracy was tough, and he gutted it out. We got his book done during chemotherapy. We got to see each other one time after COVID hit, because the world was right before COVID hit when we finalized this book and everything. Unfortunately, the world shut down, and I never got to see him in person again, which really sucks because we'd really become good friends by the time we got his book done. Tracy would call me, he would text me, regularly. I'd be at work and my phone would ring. Hey, I just heard Candido's theme song on ESPN or something like that. Just, not a day goes by I don't miss that guy. Like I said, I really got to know him the last couple of years of my life, and I know there's hundreds of Smothers kids out there. Folks like Isaiah, folks like Mickey Knuckles, and Amazing Maria, that and Jessie Bell, who just they grew up with him, they came into the business with him, and they saw him as a father figure, and he really was. I really don't think you can underestimate the impact he's had on AEW, on WWE, on wrestlers that are everywhere, because his kids are everywhere. They're working for every major company, and they're working for every major promotion, and they're all over the world. So, it's just, he gave a lot. He gave a whole lot. And, if I were to sum up the one thing I learned from Tracy, just my personal, not writing his book even, but just my personal interactions with him, it's love. Tracy gave all of himself. He gave every bit of himself to this business. He gave it to the people that were coming up behind him. He showed love to every single one of them. Mr. Brickster comes to mind. He talks about when he got hurt, Tracy would call him up, every week. Hey, how you doing? Hang in there. You're going to get back in the ring. You're going to be fine. He was an encourager. He loved on everybody. He told you he loved you when you're on the phone with him, and you said it back because, you meant it. He meant it. You knew he meant it. Tracy, he had a much bigger family than just the family he was born to. His wrestling family is vast, and his wrestling legacy is going to go on for a long time. So it was my honor to write a story. It was my pleasure to know him as a friend. Like I said, I miss him every day. I miss him. I miss Hurricane JJ McGuire. I've lost two people that I've written books with, and they were both people that I was in contact with almost weekly, long after their books were done. So, Tracy, thank you so much for everything. Thank you for everything you've done for the business. Thank you for your friendship. I love you, brother, and truly miss you.
Next one is The Big Picture, Mike Jablonski.
Hey everybody, this is The Big Picture, Michael Jablonski. One of the fondest memories of Tracy Smothers that I have is probably my first or second night in Evansville, Indiana at the Coliseum. I was working there sporadically, just whenever I could get booked on. And Tracy told me to call him an old man in a promo. And anybody that knows Tracy knows how fired up he gets. And the temper that he has. And I've heard and witnessed on several occasions as well how fiery that temper could be for that exact same quote being said his way on a promo. And I basically just kind of said, Tracy, I don't know about all that. Well, we got to the spot in the the night where I was supposed to cut this promo, and I took a deep breath and did as I was instructed to do, and kind of winced down like this right after I said it because I thought I knew what was coming. But Tracy was always $1 million with me. Fast forward several years later into my career, we were working on a spot show in Ripley, Tennessee for Pro Wrestling Mid-South. And I tweaked my knee coming off the apron, and Tracy was all about giving me home remedies and telling me how I could, alleviate the pain so I could make it to the next town and to the next show, rather. And that was just the way Tracy was. If he liked you, he loved you. And if he didn't like you, you knew it. Tracy is always going to be one of those guys that the pro wrestling business as a whole was going to be at a loss for not having anymore. And Tracy, just as much that day that I got the call that you were no longer with us, you were missed just as much today as you were that day, and will continue to be missed like that, my friend. Godspeed. Safe travels.
Now, this guy right here knows a lot about being tough, man. He's an ECW original. I'm talking about the Pitbull, Gary Wolf.
Yo, Wolfie D, what's happening, brother? This is the Pitbull, #1 from ECW, original. The Pitbulls. Just want to talk about one guy who made such a big difference in our locker room in ECW, and one guy who was one of the finest, best wrestler psychology that I know is Tracy Smothers, brother. I miss you, man. I wish you were still here. I love you. You were a great guy to work with, especially with the FBI, with the Pit Bulls versus the FBI. We had so many great rivalries and great matches. I just want to say, Tracy, I miss you, and I love you, and I will see you at the bar in heaven soon, brother. Peace.
All right, this next one is my favorite wrestler of all time, aside from Wolfie, Mr. Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton.
Hello, everybody. I'm here to talk about one of my best friends, Tracy Smothers. You know, what's wrong with the business today is people don't get a chance to bond. Well, I got to know Tracy Smothers real good during Smoky Mountain Wrestling and all the good times we had traveling down the road. And then you become very close to somebody. When Tracy died, you know, it took a little part of my heart. But I just want everybody out there to know that Tracy Smothers was a great worker. But we got to remember Tracy for this, because you see, Tracy was a thug. You see, T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, because everybody knows a thug can't spell.
Now let's have a listen to what the hustler, Rip Rogers, has to say about our man, Tracy Smothers.
Hello, wrestling fans. This is Hustler Rip Rogers. I'm sitting here hanging and banging at Anytime Fitness in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I just wanted to say a little bit about the great Tracy Smothers. Tracy Smothers was a hell of a guy. I liked him right away. But, you know, he was such a good wrestler. When he was a heel, I'd think he was really mad about something. But he wasn't. He did shake his head and laugh and just roll his eyes. But Tracy Smothers was a good wrestler. He was a good person. I was proud to call him a colleague. And if you got in the ring, you're going to have some great matches. So I just wanted to say some of those things about my friend Tracy Smothers. Thank you.
This next one is coming from a mentor to me and a man who knows the right way of the business, Mr. Shane Morton.
My Tracy Smothers story is one night I was working Carthage, Tennessee, and I ended up having to work Tracy. Well, I was running late because I didn't get off the shoot job until like an hour before the show started. So I hurried on down to Carthage and got ready, got there about 5 minutes to spare. And Tracy said, "Hey, I'll just call it in the ring." I said, "That's fine." Worked him. We went out there and had a heck of a match. He said, "Man, what took you so long? What was the deal?" I said, "Man, I just got held up at work." And he goes, asked me what kind of work I did. I told him, I said, "I'm on call 24/7, 365. And I said, it just emergency come in. I had to take care of it. And I said, actually, I took off long enough to come down here to work, and then I'm going back to work. And I guess that kind of stuck with Tracy. And over the years, he used to say, "Shane, you the hardest working man I know in the wrestling business, man. You always working, always working, always working." Then when Cody got a little bit older, Cody started working and got the pleasure of meeting Tracy. And Tracy told him, said, "Man, your dad's the hardest working man I know in wrestling. And, man, you look just like your dad. It's just amazing how much you look just like him." So I took that as a compliment. And one time I remember working Tracy, and I was under a hood working him, and something happened. And I don't remember what happened. And the referee had grabbed the stick he had with the flag on it. He had a flag on it. And I believe the referee was Freddie Creek, I believe was his name. And man, Tracy about killed him over grabbing that flag. And Tracy beat him and beat him and beat him, and it was just, I thought, man, it was just such an honor to be around Tracy. Tracy was the most kindest, humblest person, most giving person, to try to help everybody that was around. He wanted everybody to succeed, and he wanted everybody to do good in the business, and just a great person to be around. I miss Tracy all the time. Good man. Just God bless Tracy is all I can say.
Okay, it's time for the Warlord of Weird and one of my former disciples of the New Church partners, Mr. Sin Bodie.
Hey everybody, this is your Warlord of Weird, Sin Bodie, and former New Church member, Wolfie D, aka Slash, had asked this former New Church member for a fun video on a memory about our good friend Tracy Smothers, rest his soul. The very first time I ever got to meet Tracy was because of my partner, Wolfie D. he had got me booked in an indie show in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. And he said, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it to that show, but get with Tracy Smothers, tell him I sent you. I'll shoot him a message and let him know that you're my guy and that you're coming in. I said, okay, Wolfie, thank you very much. And so I drove my ass down there and got there, and I met Tracy, and he was nothing but sweet and southern charm. Hey, man, nice to meet you. You're that polite Canadian friend of Wolfie D's. He said so much about you. All right, man. Okay, me and you, we's working tonight. I said, yes, sir, happy to do it. And this was about 150, maybe 200 years ago, so I was pretty green at the time and just eager to learn. So I said, yes, sir, happy to do it. So I'm sure Tracy's going to call everything in the ring, and I'm happy to listen and follow along. So we get into the match, and the referee, I don't remember exactly what he did, but he's pissed off Tracy really badly. Tracy's like, I'll fucking kill you, stupid son of a bitch, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff. I'm thinking, holy shit, I'm going to get stretched. I'm collateral damage to Tracy's bad mood because of this fucking referee. So I'm thinking, well, I've been in plenty of bar fights in my day. I'm just going to have to keep my dukes up and hope for the best. And Tracy was livid. He was so pissed off and angry. And as we locked up, I was just bracing for the worst. And it was the lightest, smoothest, warm summer breeze of a lockup ever. And I just hear this whisper into my ear. Oh, man, you're just so dang polite. I really like you. Wolfie called it right with you, man. You're so polite. You're so polite. And we had the funnest match ever. We looked like we beat the shit out of each other, but it was just a warm summer breeze, easy day off, and it was wonderful, and I learned a shit ton. So, thank you, Wolfie D, for that booking, and thank you, Tracy Smothers, for taking good care of me. This is your Warlord of Weird, over and out.
I think there's some magic in here, whether you call him Fantasio or as we call him, the Spellbinder is up next.
Hey, Wolfie, Spellbinder here. Man, when you sent me that text and I saw the name Tracy Smothers, man, the first thing that hit me was a number of years ago, we were working together somewhere in Tennessee. I was a heel at the time. He was a babyface, and for some reason, for a while, he was going to the ring with no boots. He was just going straight barefoot, man. So, all right, so I'm healing or whatever. Anyway, we do a couple of babyface spots, and boom, I cut him off. As soon as I cut him off, I noticed he had blood on his shoulder, and I went over to Jimmy for a second. I cut him off and went over to Jimmy and said, hey, man, where's all this blood coming from that he has? He goes, no, it's all over your chest and your shoulders, too. And I looked down. I said, holy cow. I said, man, am I cut? And he goes, no. He looked at me. I kept looking all over Tracy while I was getting heat on him, and I couldn't find anything. Later on, we figured out he was barefoot. We did a spot where he hit me with 2 drop kicks. What happened was he scratched me with his feet, my top of my shoulder and my chest, and there was bleeding crazy. Nothing big, but because it was hot and we were sweating, it was all over the place. Later on after the match, he came over to me and said, hey, man, thank you, Spell. I was like, yeah, thank you, brother. Anyway, he says, hey, man, Jimmy left these on my bag, and when he showed it to me, it was a set of toenail clippers. And I kind of chuckled but didn't smarten him up. I kind of felt bad. I didn't want to hurt his feelings or get him offended. Anybody knew you offended Tracy, he'd get pretty upset. But I worked him the next 3 nights, and every night Jimmy would come to me and say, hey, we're working Mr. Toenails again tonight. But it made me laugh because that's what Jimmy called them from then on, was Mr. Toenails. And I just thought it was always hilarious, man. We had a lot of fun back then. Anyway, rest in peace, Tracy. We miss you.
This next guy, he could damn sure be a member of the Thugs, because I know he can't spell. I'm talking about Trailer Park Trash.
Hello, everybody. This is the one and only Trailer Park Trash, and we're here live and in color with my brother from another mother, Sir Wolfie D. But you know what? Tonight, it's all about the man, the myth, the legend, the wild-eyed Southern boy, Tracy Smothers. There's one story in particular that has always sunk deep in my heart with Tracy and will always live in my memory. 20, 21 years ago or so, me and Tracy both kind of got booked on this crazy little loop of independent shows. Started off in, we did a show in Illinois, then on to Missouri, Jefferson City, Springfield, things like that. But we ended that Saturday night in Dothan, Alabama. And we happened to have that Friday off, the Friday before. So at that point in time, I had, been raising my daughter at that point. So, we stay at my house that Friday. We stop back home in Louisville, and I go to my mom's and pick up my daughter. And I think she's 3 or 4 years old. And we come home, and this is the thing about me with Tracy. Watching Tracy with my daughter that day was the most amazing thing I think I've ever seen. I've never seen my daughter up to that point laugh and have such a good time. And at the same time, I'd never seen Tracy like that. Tracy was always a great guy to the boys, helpful anytime he could be. But I seen a part of Tracy away from the wrestling business that you don't get to see too much of any of the boys, any of the workers. And Tracy, I believe, had just as much fun that day as my daughter, if not more. You could just see it in his eyes and his smile and his laughter playing with my daughter. And man, that will always, not counting getting to spend, those almost 2 weeks on the road with Tracy, just what a humbling experience it was. It made me learn and realize not just some things about myself in the wrestling business, but life. Tracy was just that kind of guy. Tracy, I love you, man. I miss you. I know you're having a wild party upstairs, but brother, I don't know if you will ever know the impact that you actually made on the wrestling business. And so many of guys like me, man, you just can't put enough words together to say how much you're missed, how much you're loved, and how much of an impact you put in our wrestling business. And I think I speak for all of us when I say we will always be eternally grateful. And this is for you, my man. This is for you. This flag is one Tracy actually gave me several years ago, many, many years ago. And I will always treasure it because I will always treasure my memories I have with you, Tracy. God bless you, brother.
And this one's coming from the one and only Yukon Jack.
So 2006, me and my ex-wife went to the Duke Fest. I had no idea that there was wrestling. I seen a wrestling ring. I said, hey. Then I seen Tracy. I said, hey, Tracy. He said, what's up, Yukon? He said, hey, can your wife sell my gimmicks? I said, yes, sir. So I said, I'm going to go sit in the crowd. And I had my color mohawk. People was asking me, hey, are you one of them wrestlers? I said, no, sir. No. I'm just here to watch. Well, I went and set up in the bleachers. And I had my wife's purse. Well, Tracy comes out for his match against the Iron Cross. And he starts cutting a promo, and he says, I just want y'all to know that I brought somebody here today to watch my back, and he's one of the best promoters here in Middle Tennessee and one of the sexiest guys. Y'all give it up for my buddy, Mr. Entertainment, Yukon Jack. And I'm like, oh, shit. And I had no idea, so I go to get up, and I forget I had my wife's purse wrapped around my leg so I wouldn't lose it. Well, guess what? I trip and fall down the steps. Boom, boom, boom. I get in the ring after I was selling that on the shoot. And I go to get in the ring. He's like, this is Yukon Jack. Y'all give him some respect. Tell him, Yukon. And gives me the microphone. I'm like, oh, hell. He just give me the mic in front of all these people in their set. Daisy Duke. I'm big Dukes of Hazzard, Mark, to this day. They're set Daisy Duke, Bo Duke, Luke, all of them. And first thing I say, Daisy Duke, the only reason you come to Nashville, Tennessee was to see Yukon Jack dance and get naked. Hit the music. So me and Tracy, I started dancing and Tracy started doing the swimming gimmick. People was throwing shit. somebody threw a pacifier. Somebody said, "You threw a damn pacifier." I get it. I stick it in my belly button, and Tracy lost it. And he started cutting a promo on Iron Cross, and he said something about Kurt Angle. So I was like, yeah, we would school Kurt Angle, Tracy, blah, blah, blah. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Stan Paulie that was running the show. And Tracy told me he got fired because he didn't get the okay to call me out. If I'm not mistaken, it was Paulie that fired him that day. He wasn't fired long. They hired him back. But yeah, so yes, Tracy Smothers, I miss you, brother. And it was still the highlight of my career. I see 75,000 people, not around the ring, but they were there. And I got to cut a promo on Daisy Duke. So yeah, I miss Tracy. Thank you. If this is not good enough, you just let me know. Oh yeah, guys, don't forget, I got to get that plug in. Each and every Friday night, Tullahoma, Tennessee, 106 Southside Street at the Gypsy Joe Arena, SWF Wrestling. Woo, 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 because I don't want to get sued.
So this next one we actually had to pull from his episode on our show because the natural, Chase Stevens, takes too long to do anything. And I don't know how long this guy takes to take a shit, but I promise you it's more than an hour. But anyway, up next, Chase Stevens.
So we get up there and we lock up, and I was so nervous. I locked up amateur style, like right-handed style. Oh, shit. And, oh, my God, through his teeth, he said, "You don't know how to lock up?" But I heard, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, the fuck did he say? God. Man, he punched me square in the nose. And my knees buckled for the first time in years. Like, my knees buckled, and I was like, holy shit, fuck this fake shit, man. Like, fuck. He grabbed me by the seat of my pants and the back of my, they gave me a mask, so I was like wearing a mask. Yeah. He grabbed me by the back of that mask and threw me over the top rope, and I didn't even know how to lock up right. So damn good and well I don't know how to go over the top rope. Dude, you remember the old lawn darts back in the day?
Yeah.
Yep, that was fucking me, and I'm not a cat. I fucking head first, like Superman, straight to that fucking hardwood floor. Man, I bounced. I was like, man, this is like the worst day of my life. I'm like, dude, fuck this, man. I'd rather take my dad's ass whipping all day long than fucking do this shit anymore. He like gets me up. He's like, "Do you know how to dive?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know how to dive." And he's like, "All right, fake one, give one." I was like, "What did he say?" So I get in the ring. I was like, man, he said dive. So I run and hit the ropes and jumped over the top just like I just had done, got thrown over the top. Man, he ducks down and I land on his back. And he comes up, he's like, "You stupid motherfucker." And I was like, oh my God, what'd I do now? It just kept getting worse, man. He punches me square in the face. He's like, you know what a fucking finish is? And I was like, yeah, I know what that is. And he like rolls me in, and he grabs me, has my knees like in my forehead. He's yelling at the referee, "I dare you count three. I dare you count three." Yeah. So I got downstairs, man, and he is just yelling at me, just eating me up and down, chewing my ass in front of everybody. And he's like, "How long you been in the business, you piece of shit?" And I was like, 2 days, sir. He's like, "What'd you say?" And I was like, 2 days. I think he thought I was going to say a couple weeks, couple months. He's like, "You only been in the business 2 days?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, last week and this week." And, and he's like, "Who the fuck put you in the ring?" So I pointed at Mike Staples. So then he goes over there to Mike Staples, and they're going at it. They're like in each other's faces yelling. Then he came over to me. He's like, "You got to change your clothes." And I did because they gave me this shit to wear. So I was like, "Yeah, I got to change clothes." So he's like, "All right." He's like, "Get in with me. I'm going to show you how to wrestle." I thought we were like going down the street because I heard you guys wrestled like 7 days a week back then. So I was like, I'm probably just going to go down the street and he'll bring me back to my car tomorrow or whatever. Dude, I ain't come home for 8 months, man. He took me on the road for 8 months. One change of clothes. Man, I was like a homeless slob for 8 months, man.
All right. Up next is my good friend, the Dirty White Boy. He's definitely got some stories to share about Tracy Smothers, being a former tag team partner and a former rival. So let's hear it from Tony.
Hey, wrestling fans, this is Tony Anthony, the Dirty White Boy. They asked me to say a few words about Tracy Smothers, the late, great Tracy Smothers. He was a wonderful person. many battles against him. We were tag team partners, and we went to WWF together, and we had agents, and he would go in with his agent, I'd go in with my agent, and next thing you know, we'd come back out, and Tracy would always say, "Hey, white boy, they ambushed us, didn't they?" I said, "They did, Tracy." But love you, man, and God bless you, and I'm sorry you're gone.
All right, WWE Hall of Famer and another good friend of mine, and I really want to thank Jeff for doing this for us. Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
Hey, man, Wolfie, I appreciate you reaching out and asking me to be a part of this very special episode, chatting about Tracy Smothers. Man, there are so many descriptors that I could think of and to talk about with Tracy. I mean, what a unique, one-of-a-kind individual. God, all through the years, the road stories and Jason James, real good friend of mine. Some folks know him as Jimmy J. Used to work at TNA Merchandise, but we've worked together off and on for years. A very good friend of mine. You know, Tracy took him under his wing, and that's kind of the thing that I, when I think through on all the years, the very first time I met Tracy, I was a junior in high school, and he was actually being trained, or maybe he'd already been trained, but still kind of going through training on Sundays down at the Nashville Fairgrounds by Tojo Yamamoto. Tojo was one of my first mentors and got me in the ring and taught me just the kind of the simple basics about selling and all that kind of stuff. But when I think back to the very first time, and then as Tracy was breaking into the business, again, I'm in high school, and I'm from Hendersonville, right outside of Nashville, Tennessee, little bedroom community. Tracy is from Springfield, Tennessee. So our communities are not that far off, maybe 20, 30 miles, kind of rivalry high schools, but just in the community. And yeah, just knowing Tracy and knowing he's not far from where I grew up. We both grew up in this Middle Tennessee area, and then we both had a passion for wrestling. So he worked for my dad, and just his kind, loving soul is kind of where I was going with all of this. Everybody knows, you know, hotter than popcorn, all of the Tracy isms, if you will. The thug, T is for terrible, H, I won't go through that. But I mean, just all that. Him teaming with Steve Armstrong, which is thousands and thousands of stories there in and of itself. But at the end of the day, the one thing that, you know, as you, Wolfie, are, you know, remembering all the fun stories and laughing stories and everything about that, you know, you can peel all the layers of the onion back when I think about Tracy, but he just was a giving, kind, dear soul. Some people may or may not want to hear that, but man, Tracy was a giver. He would give of his time, give of his talent, and that in a lot of ways is what life's all about. He had no problem helping younger guys in the business learn the ropes, not just in the ring, but out of the ring. A great man, a great soul is what I kind of keep landing back on. Tracy was a one of a kind. Obviously, it goes without saying, a hell of an in-ring talent. But man, he wasn't afraid to roll up his sleeves and put in the hard work. But great dude. I miss him. I miss kind of seeing him at different places and the smile and just joking around, man. At the end of the day, he's the kind of guy, and then I think I'll close with this, but Tracy is the kind of guy that whether I'm putting on my promoter cap or being one of the boys or just, you know, maybe coming into a territory or coming into a set of circumstances new, Tracy's a guy you want in the locker room because tougher than nails, he didn't let no BS happen. Boy, he had a hair trigger temper on some nights, but at his very core, a very kind, giving soul that wanted to help. And that's in so many ways what makes our wonderful business go round and round. So, Wolfie, I appreciate appreciate you reaching out to me and having me a part of this episode. And Tracy's gone too soon. Special man, special soul. Thanks, Wolfie.
And Tracy Smothers, they always say, was part of the Armstrong family. And who else better than to give it to us than the D-O-double-G? I'm talking about the Road Dogg.
Well, it's me, the D-O-double-G, the Road Dogg, Jesse James, a.k.a. Brian James, a.k.a. Brian Armstrong, and we're here to talk about Tracy Smothers, who is an honorary Armstrong around every corner. Tagged with my brother Steve, tagged with myself in USWA, where we did beat Wolfie and Jamie several hundred times. I'm not sure that they ever beat us. One time we went on TV and they both had 2 black eyes. But no, I just came back from Germany. It was a long stint. But Tracy Smothers is a great friend of mine, but a horrible driver. Literally the worst driver I've ever been in the car with. 55, 35, 75, 25, 85, 14. And every time you passed a herd of cows, you heard, there's your family. There's an Armstrong family reunion right over there. Tracy, I love you. I miss you. I wish I could just sit one more time with you. God bless y'all. I got 2 words for you. Tracy Smothers.
There you have it, man. Some of that, man, everyone was great. Some of them funny, some of them just paying tribute. But, man, thank you, everybody that participated in this. Jimmy, thank you for putting it all together. I hope everybody has enjoyed this, man. I really do.
I believe everybody will enjoy this one. I'm excited that, we got to do this. Thank you for having the idea, man. And, if these do well, we'll do more. We want to, sure. We got a lot of people to pay tribute to, So.
Yeah, man. Sure do. A lot of fallen brothers, man.
Unfortunately.
And, just before we take a break, I just want to say, Tracy, I always loved you, man. And not only did you teach me a lot, but you were just a good friend, man. And I miss you, Tracy Smothers. We all do. We'll be right back with Ask Wolfie D Anything.
A very special Tracy Smothers Ask Wolfie Anything. DJ, hit the music. All right, we are back on this very special Tracy Smothers tribute episode. Man, that was just cool. That was awesome that we got to put that together and pay tribute to our fallen friend. And, man, just, a tribute to a great pro wrestler and somebody who means so much to everyone, man.
Absolutely, man. People that are your friends, your loved ones, whatever, tell them that, man. Don't hold beef with anybody, because I'll tell you, man, there was a little time period where me and Tracy didn't talk for a while. And before he passed, we started talking again. He'd, FaceTime me from the hospital. I mean, regularly there at the end and everything. And just saying, man, don't hold grudges with people that you care about.
Amen. And, we're just blessed to have known Tracy and blessed to have had him in the business and enjoyed his work. He really, left a huge mark on the business. And so today we've got some specially specific, Tracy Smothers. I reached out to our awesome listeners and we've got some awesome questions, especially for this Tracy tribute. So the very first question is from our buddy Ben Martin, and he wants to ask this question. And it says, he was like, I want to say that he answered this, but he would love to hear the story of Tracy going down the road accusing Jamie of telling his wife he was smoking pot.
Man, I don't remember word for word, but Lord, who knows, man, with Jamie. He was stooge on you. I really don't remember exactly. Tracy now, he would go to great lengths to kayfabe Rose about his smokage he'd have to take off his shirt in the car now. I mean, take off the shirt or wherever we were, standing outside, whatever. He had to take off his shirt, to not get smoke on it, I guess. And then afterwards, lotion his face and spray cologne. So that was his routine for kayfabing.
Man,
I guess Jamie Stew's on him. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Candy's sister, by the way.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Ben, for that question. Ben actually has one more question for us that I would love for you to answer. So Ben Martin once more from Facebook, Ben Martin 88 on Twitter, he asked this question. He says, what is his craziest Tracy story that you can safely tell?
All right, so I know that just a few weeks ago I told the story about me and Tracy pulling up after a show, headed back to Memphis, and we stopped off at Bill's strip club that he used to own, Dundee Strip Club. And we went in, hung out for a while. We come back out, and the window was busted out. And like I said, I can't remember whether it was just Tracy's bag or both bags. I don't think they took my bag. I really don't recall that. But either way, we didn't know whether Bill put somebody up to it or it was just random or what. But yeah, Tracy was a little pissed off over that. And like I said, I know I told that one a couple of weeks ago, so I won't go huge into that. And this ain't a crazy Tracy story, but since I gave some earlier ones early on, just on one that I thought of that I didn't tell was the way he used to get so pissed off at me when we'd room together. He was like telling me that I snored too loud for him to be able to sleep. And that was honestly the pot calling the kettle black, because he snored just outrageously. And I just remember one night we were up, it was ECW territory, and he'd take toilet paper, roll it up, and stick it in his ears, and so then I had to do the same thing. So we're both laying there trying to go to sleep with toilet paper stuffed in our ears, and both of us snoring, and I don't think nobody slept good.
Oh man!
But he's like, "Boy, you snore too much." Like that, Tracy. Have you ever heard yourself?
Right.
Lord.
Pot calling the kettle black much, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. That's funny. Well, hey man, everybody snores sometimes, right? Come on.
Yeah, man. Can't help it.
Yeah. All right. This one is from Martin Edwards on YouTube, and he asked this question. He says, who decided who was going to take the Coke bottle to the back of the head in the Smoky Mountain feud?
Randy. Randy decided that. I mean, I don't know if there was any particular reason for it, but no, that was just a finish call right there.
And you bake those Coke
Yeah,
bottles?
that was back. We didn't use the little sugar bottles. We did the old school way and baked it. That son of a bitch, I forget, they baked it too much or something. It was all, you couldn't really tell, but it was all cracked and shit. It looked like garbage. And that's why, if you'll notice, Tracy's got a damn glove on his hand because he knew how fragile it was. He knew he just had to mush it on the back of Jamie's head, basically. Because if he would have held it by the handle and tried to swing it, it would have broke before it hit his head. So he just kind of bashed it into his head, and he had that glove on so it wouldn't cut his hand up.
Well, where do you all bake those? Is it normally like in a place that has a kitchen kind of deal?
Yeah, I think Randy just baked it at his house and brought it with him.
Okay, gotcha. I left the Coke bottle in too long.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he didn't follow the recipe. Look that up. Google that. We couldn't Google it back then. Google it now. How do you bake a Coke bottle still to break?
Right. And I think they just use sugar glass now, right? But whatever.
Yeah. But you can still do it.
You can definitely still do that. Absolutely. And, what were just to bring up another idea there, James Storm's beer bottles, were those mostly sugar glass, you think, now? Or
probably, I would imagine, but hell, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a totally different question for another subject. But yeah, anyway. Well, thank you all for those questions. Definitely appreciate that. And man, just thank y'all for listening to this awesome episode today. We greatly appreciate it. That is all I have. So.
Yeah, and I apologize if these Somerset rednecks in their loud cars is disturbing anyone. But yeah, awesome episode. We miss you, Tracy. And man, I don't know how we're gonna follow this, but we'll try next week. So y'all tune in and listen.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. the podcast that's based on the old school, but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Sheik, Jarrett, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all. And all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling!
Wrestling fan? Well, stop by Captain's Corner, where you can get autographed photos, cards, magazines, and figures from all of your favorite wrestling superstars of the past, present, and future. You'll also be able to participate in live signings in the weeks and months to come. Make sure to stop by Captain's Corner on Facebook and give us a holler. Remember, cheers to the working man.
So that was another great episode. Hey, Wolfie, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Jimmy, they can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. I'm just kidding. They can find me on Facebook. My personal page is Warren Wolf, WOLFE. I'm on Instagram at WarrenWolf13.
You can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Wolfie D. Here's the thing. Wolfie always has offers for his autographed photos. He has a selection of some awesome photos from throughout his career that he will autograph and personalize any way that you want him to. Just contact him either directly at his personal Facebook page or through any one of our other pages, and we'll make sure you get in contact directly with Wolfie. Get those photos, right, Wolfie?
Yeah, I've got some good stuff on there, to help with the podcast.
Folks, if you can't get out to a show to meet Wolfie D, there's nothing like that, especially for the fans of PG-13 and Wolfie D. And before we go, you can always find me, your host, Jimmy Street, at James Rock Street on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
And hey, Jimmy, before we go real quick, I just want to add in there, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate, first of all, the work you've done for this podcast. You have worked your butt off. Secondly, the people that are liking the page. Beyond that, even more, is the people that are listening, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the podcast drops a new episode every Monday at noon, and our past episodes are streaming now on demand on all major podcast formats. Thanks again.
I got a cap for your dome. He got a cap for your dome. I got a cap for your dome. He got a cap for your dome. He got a cap for your dome. And here we go. The original white boy that came out sagging, not bragging, don't be hating, cause I'm spitting the truth. Still livin' in color, from rush your mother, utilize a hubcap, unlike any other. Back in the day, I was N-O-D, and I was P to the G, plus the 1 and the 3. In case you forgot, they call me Wolfie D. Been cloned and copied so many times, tired of suckers taking credit for what is mine. You know who you are, without me name dropping. Wrestling's first white boy coming out hip-hopping. Been doing it like this since 92. Laid low for a while and you thought I was through. Listen real close to these rhymes that I've injected. This shit's so sick it makes your ears get infected. Mad skills, no faking, there is no one great. Cause I'm bringing more folks than over 1 or later. Not here to play games, so you better beware. You don't like me, so what? I really don't care. Like time I keep ticking and I can't be stopped. You sucker step to the side unless you wanna get dropped. With my finish, I'll straight knock you out. Please allow me to tell you what it's all about. Gonna wind it up, then I'm driving it home. It's Wolfie D, baby. I got a cap for your dome. I got a cap for your dome. We got a cap for your dome. We got a cap for your dome.
This has been a James Rock Street production.